Guess the busiest night of the year for a New Zealand ambulance service. Most people say New Year's Eve. It is a fair guess. It is also wrong. In August 2026, the country's main ambulance service broke its own record, 2,562 emergency calls in a single day. It broke that record 3 times in 1 week. 2,404 calls on the Monday, 2,454 on the Thursday, then the Saturday. A normal day is about 1,900. None of those days was a holiday. Nothing exploded, no storm arrived. It was an ordinary cold week in winter. At the peak, a call was arriving every 20 seconds. Then the service did something strange for an emergency organization. It asked the public to stop calling it. That request is the interesting part. It opens onto a fact that surprises almost every New Zealander. Dial 111, and the ambulance that arrives is not a government service. It is run by a charity. Hold that thought, because it explains a great deal. First, understand where an ambulance sits in the health system. Most people picture it near the front. A person becomes unwell. An ambulance comes. The hospital takes over. The reality is closer to the opposite. An ambulance is the last door in the building. It is also the only door that never closes. Your family doctor has opening hours. A pharmacy has opening hours. A specialist has a waiting list. The ambulance has none of those things. So when any other part of the system slows down, the pressure does not vanish. It rolls downhill. It lands on the one service that cannot say come back tomorrow. Now look at the strangest detail in the whole story. The busiest days for ambulances in New Zealand are usually Mondays. Not Friday nights, not weekends, Mondays. The explanation is a little heartbreaking. A person with a long-term illness starts feeling worse on a Saturday. The clinic is shut. They decide to wait. They tell themselves they will ring on Monday and get an appointment. By Monday, the waiting has done its work. The appointment they need is no longer with a doctor. It is with 2 paramedics and a stretcher. A weekend of small delays all over the country lands on one morning. That pattern is not really about ambulances at all. It measures how easy it is to see a doctor on a Saturday. Now back to the charity part. This is where New Zealand becomes unusual. Heito Hone St John covers roughly 9 out of 10 New Zealanders. Wellington and the Wairarapa are covered by Wellington Free Ambulance. Both are charities, both fundraise, both rely on thousands of volunteers. The government pays a large share of the cost. The accident compensation scheme pays another share. The rest has to come from somewhere. For most of the country, part of it comes from you. An ambulance call-out carries a part charge of $125. That price rose from $98 in the middle of 2025. Sending an ambulance actually costs more than $1,000, so the charge is not a price. It is a small contribution towards something other people mostly pay for. There is one exception, and it comes with a good story. In 1927, the mayor of Wellington saw an injured man beside a road. No ambulance was available to move him. He decided the city should have its own. He also decided that nobody should ever be charged for it. Wellington Free Ambulance has been free ever since. Almost a century later, it is still the only one of its kind. There, the ride costs you nothing. 2 neighboring regions, 2 different answers to the same question. Both of them accidents of history rather than national decisions. Somebody you know has worried about the cost of calling an ambulance for a parent. Share this with them. The knowledge is worth more than the fear. Now the practical part, because this is the bit that helps somebody. When a service asks people to call less, bravery is the wrong question. The right question is how to tell the difference. The advice given in New Zealand is refreshingly plain. Call 111 for chest pain. Call for serious trouble breathing. Call if you cannot wake a person up. Severe bleeding, sudden weakness on one side of the face or body, a bad fall. In those situations, calling early is right. No ambulance officer will think you wasted their time. For everything else, there is a middle option that people forget exists. Healthline is free, staffed by nurses, and open at 3 in the morning. The number is 0800 611 116. A nurse can tell you to go straight to hospital. A nurse can also tell you to go back to bed. Both of those answers are useful. One phrase is worth knowing. You may hear it during a hard winter. A major incident response. It sounds like something declared after a crash or an earthquake. Normally it is. It means the organization switches into a different mode. Extra staff are called in. Managers move onto the operations floor. Non-urgent work is put down. The unusual thing about 2026 was the cause. There was no single event. There was no wreckage. There was only ordinary winter illness. It arrived in numbers no roster had been built for. A country absorbs a spectacular disaster fairly well because everyone can see it. A slow, invisible one is harder. It looks exactly like a normal week. Take one thing away from this. Next time you hear that ambulances are under pressure, remember where it starts. The pressure does not begin with ambulances. It begins upstream, in a clinic that was closed, or in an appointment that was 3 weeks away. The siren is only the sound of that arriving late.